Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, federal government pumps more funds into the economy. Finance Minister confirms release of additional 60 billion naira for capital spending. President Muhammadu Buhari's running mate in 2011, Pastor Tunde Bakare, asked Nigerians to give the administration more time, as current challenges will soon be over. Prison authorities confirmed deaths of 6 inmates during Thursday's attempted jailbreak at the Abakaliki prisons in Ebonyi State. And U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort resigns.
And on business news tonight, experts advocate investment of pension assets in Nigeria's power sector for economic development.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria battle Latin America opponent Honduras for the bronze medal tomorrow in the men's football event in Rio de Janeiro.
I'm Yemisi Ipaye, and from Abuja, suspended recruits of Nigeria Immigration Service marched to the presidency in protest of alleged attempt to deprive them of their jobs.
We'll begin tonight with the fresh injection of 60 billion naira into the economy by the federal government. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, made this known today in Abuja, saying that 60 billion naira is in addition to the 400 billion naira that was released between May and August this year. The minister, however, says that it will take time for the impact of the sums injected to be seen on the economy, because agencies of government are following stipulated due process in spending.
So far, we have spent on capital over 400 billion. That's between May, when the budget was signed, and today. And even as we leave here now, we're going for another capital allocation meeting where we're going to allocate another 60 billion. So we're pumping money into the economy at a very rapid rate. As I say, it will take a little bit of time. What are the delays and challenges? One, a lot of agencies have to do their procurement process. Now, there's a balance between speed and transparency. If we say to them, quick, just work with the contractors you have, that's not necessarily fair on the rest of Nigeria. If you check most of your newspapers, you see adverts for various contracts. Those are contracts that people are bidding for. The winners of those contracts get paid, they bring back their workers, and the economic recovery begins. So there have been some delays caused by the procurement process, but we are getting over them.
The government is not unmindful of the economic hardship being experienced by Nigerians, and this is according to the senior pastor of the Latter Rain Assembly, Pastor Tunde Bakare. The cleric, who was also President Muhammadu Buhari's running mate in the 2011 presidential elections, was speaking at the presidential villa after a private visit to the president. The president also played host to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, who declined to speak with journalists on grounds that he was still on recess.
When you have driven in the wrong direction, for example, say you are going to Ibadan and you face Badagry and you get to Cotonou and you realize you've gone in the wrong direction for too long a time, when you turn back and make a U-turn, there will be some sufferings you have to go through in order to get to where you are going. Pain is part of gain. No pain, no gain. The years of wastage and all that we have done wrong had finally caught up with us. All we are praying for is wisdom for this government to do things right and to do the right things so that gradually we can begin to come out of the woods.
But so far, how would you rate his performance?
It's too quick and too soon to begin to judge. If there's anything I know about Mr. President, he has a good heart, he loves this country, and he wants the country to run well. Sometimes, again, it takes time. And I know we are all impatient and in a hurry, and I trust that we'll come out of the woods. I will want to appeal to all Nigerians that we should just exercise a bit of patience. This change will not become chain that will tie all of us down. Change for good takes time, and we should just exercise a little bit more of patience. We trust God that the government is listening, the leaders are listening, and they will respond to the yearnings and the aspirations of Nigerians.
The president's running mate at the 2011 presidential elections, Pastor Tunde Bakare. At least 800,000 internally displaced persons are facing acute shortage of food, shelter and Medicare in the recently liberated areas in the northeast. This was made known by the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Sani Sidi, who has raised concerns over the situation, which he says is overwhelming. He was speaking in Abuja after a road walk to mark the 2016 World Humanitarian Day.
August the 19th every year is set aside by the United Nations to pay tribute to aid workers who risk their lives rendering humanitarian services. It is for this purpose that the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is organizing this road walk in Abuja. The Humanitarian Response Agency report for 2013 shows that 155 aid workers died in the line of duty globally. Another 134 were kidnapped, with 171 seriously injured. NEMA outlines recent challenges that aid workers also face in Nigeria's northeast.
Just recently, UN convoy was ambushed and attacked, and there were persons who were injured because they are attempting to, they're trying to render humanitarian services. NEMA itself was affected because in Adamawa last year, our own staff were affected in a bomb blast.
Addressing journalists after the road walk, the Director General of NEMA draws attention to the humanitarian needs in the northeast. He highlights that over 700 people, including children and pregnant women from recently liberated communities, need humanitarian assistance.
Most areas have been liberated. There are challenges in those areas where we are looking at over 750,000 to 800,000 around those liberated communities. There are people who require special attention. There are children, there are pregnant women, there are people with various challenges who require special attention.
Currently, 26 formal camps have been opened by the government in Borno State to care for the humanitarian needs of internally displaced persons in the region. And this is in addition to the camps in Adamawa and Yobe states.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has warned that Nigeria's economic slowdown, compounded by Boko Haram's attacks, could mean 5.5 million people are in need of food aid in the northeast region by next month. Well, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency, the successes of the Nigerian insurgents against the militants of the Nigerian government against the militants has exposed the catastrophic level of sufferings and a vast regional crisis.
Nigeria's economic downturn, the number of hungry people could double in the northeastern state afflicted by the conflict. The drop in oil prices and the sharp rise in the cost of imported staples has compounded the years of violence that these poor people had to suffer. So we are concerned, our experts are warning, that it could go as high as 5.5 million people by next month.
And with the military campaign still in progress, the situation is still dangerous, it's volatile. There have been frequent hit-and-run incidents by militants, suicide bombings, attacks on civilians, torching of homes, thefts of livestock. On 27th of July, as you've heard here before, a UN convoy was attacked. This was with an improvised explosive device. With gunfire, it resulted in injuries to 3 humanitarians as well as 2 members of the military escort.
United States Secretary of State Mr. John Kerry is expected in Nigeria next week to hold discussions with the president on the ongoing counter-terrorism operations in the country. Other issues to feature in the dialogue include the fight against corruption, human rights and the economy. While in Abuja, Mr. Kerry will meet with various groups, including religious leaders and a group of adolescent females working to change communities' perceptions on the role of girls in the society. As part of the two-day visit, which begins on August the 23rd, the U.S. envoy will also be in Sokoto, the Sokoto state capital, to deliver a speech hinged on the importance of resilient communities and religious tolerance in countering violent extremism. In order to manage migration issues for the benefit of Nigerians and other neighboring countries, it's important to move away from isolated unilateral sectoral factors to a more comprehensive approach. Those are the words of the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje at the opening ceremony of the 2016 Migration Retreat holding in Kano. He says effective border management requires dedication and perseverance in the nation is to achieve desired results.
The 2016 Management Retreat of the Nigerian Immigration Service seeks to reposition the agency for a more efficient border management system. Poor border control has remained a headache for various state authorities and has been on the front burner of discuss for many years. The State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, is concerned that the contradictory migration policies remain a threat to border security for Nigeria and its African neighbors.
Exercising this sovereign responsibility, most countries have pursued a primary unilateral approach to migration, with a general tendency to develop ad hoc strategies on migration issues to respond to domestic needs and interests.
The expectations are high that this retreat will come up with workable solutions for a border management system that can checkmate illegal migration.
I will expect the retreat, among other things, address challenges from passport and visa regimes, both within and outside Nigeria, as well as develop strategies for effective border security and management in the context of its complexity and dwindling resources.
The head of Nigeria's Immigration Service believes the only way to maintain border safety is to provide adequate manpower and modern security equipment in line with the international best practices.
We need equipment to do this. We can't do it alone. However patriotic and hardworking we are, we cannot afford to patrol the borders with our foot. I'm glad to say this year government is committed. We have seen the sign in this administration to support border management. And if it will continue, it will be a sign that even the international community will assist us. So that's a sign that things will look better.
In the interim, the controller is proposing a better welfare package and constant training of officers to enhance their performance.
Well, over now to Ebonyi State in Nigeria's southeast region, where the Nigerian Prison Service confirmed 6 inmates died and 10 others were wounded after an attempted jailbreak at the Abakaliki prisons. The Comptroller General of the Nigerian Prison Service, Jafar Ahmed, who toured the prison, says that he has indeed set up a 3-man committee to investigate the cause of the incident.
The streets do not give an inkling to the violence that rocked the Abakaliki prison. Hours before, chaos reigned at the prison after some inmates tried to take advantage of the rowdiness that ensued to break out of their confinement. The Controller General, Jafar Ahmed, leads his personnel as they try to figure out how it all happened. Armed with the facts, the prison boss proceeds to the State House to report to the governor what he had seen. He's not done yet, as he appeals for a second look at the criminal justice system, particularly as it has to do with the thorny issue of prison congestion. Ebonyi's #1 citizen, Governor Dave Umahi, acknowledges the decay in the prisons, while he is willing to contribute his quota. He, however, needs help from the federal government.
I wasn't happy at all, because it is rather condemning the people than reforming them. And I felt that something needed to be done, and I declared it of emergency on the prison. And so we want to challenge you, sir, to go back and tell the Minister of Interior we are offering the premises of Ministry of Works. As painful as it is, that is also very important for the welfare of our people.
Security